I want to welcome you to this week's edition of Imagine Better. As Lee likes to say, I am grateful to be here and I'm glad to be here. So I was working with a gentleman on our advisory board this week about the concept of creating and demonstrating customer value. When you think about what we do, we create value through our customers through business and IT solutions. Okay, what does all that mean? Well, a lot of times I think unfortunately some companies, they take a project, they look at the start, and they build out, they do all the work at the end, and they deliver the project, and then they say to the customer, here's the value that we created. And I think at that point you're missing the opportunity to talk to the customer about the value you're creating while you're building the project. Some of these projects take a year, sometimes 2 years. You can't go away and come back and say, oh, here's your value. You need to demonstrate value creation throughout the building of the project, and then after the project, you really need to demonstrate the value that you created. If you move into M&O or maintenance and operation phases, are you talking about how we're decreasing the time spent on bug fixes and increasing the time spent on enhancements or whatnot in the project? Or are you focusing more on just keeping the lights on? What is it that creates value for the customer? And the customer has to agree and tell you what value is to them. You need to work with them, be collaborative with them to define what that value is and then give that information back. I think too often times customers, we get in the focus of here's our status report, here's where we're at, we got this sprint done, here's our velocity, these are the things we're doing, and we're missing the opportunity to talk to the customer about the value that we're creating. So we're thinking about all this data we're collecting, we're thinking about all this information we have. We really need to turn the lens back to the customer and say, what value are we creating for them, and how is it bettering their business, them individually, whatever it might be, but what value are we creating for them? And I think sometimes we're not focusing enough, or not enough attention gets discussed and created and brought to fruition about customer value creation, not just at the end, but during the life cycle of a project. And so just something to think about. But again, going back to customer value, the lesson this week I had is how are we talking to customers about the value that we're creating for them, and what does that do to their business?